Good morning, Boone County and beyond. It is Sunday, May 3rd. I'm your host, Bud Wiry, and you're in the shop. So, hey guys, as y'all know, we're 2 days outside of what very possibly can be one of the biggest elections in Boone County's history here, because we are at a pivotal time in the county. I mean, we have always been a rural community, rural agricultural community, and kind of have that small hometown feel. And now with all of this development, it's kind of came in that there's been a team forming that's almost the pro development team. So if all of these people on the pro development team get elected, then we're going to be looking at a Boone County that is just going to keep with this accelerated pace as they broker it off section by section. So, and I've had some debate with some others because we had Tim Byer, Scott Pell, and Donnie Lawson. They all approved the rezoning of the land there at the 4765 interchange. And I never really said that anything about that one because historically that is how Boone County has always developed, is along the interstate. I mean, you can see all the way across from Whitestown to Lebanon, there's businesses alongside that interstate there on the frontage road. So that's kind of how we've always done it. So when they approved that development out there and changed that from agricultural to industrial for that development, I mean, that kind of fit how the county has always done things. But then you had, when it came time for the R.L. Turner development, that was a couple miles outside of town among houses and whatever, and they wanted them to rezone that land to industrial. Scott Pell and Tim Byer came out against it, and they actually voted against it. So when it was outside of the, historic where we've always done it, those two have chosen to do it. So there's some little insider, because you got some of the people that are in there against this development. They want to come out so strong and still be mad at the Tim Byer and the Scott Pell over approving the 47 and 65. I mean, it's one of those things. You can't be 100% against development. Everybody has to have a job. There's been a way that it's always historically done. But what we've been really coming out against is these developments that they've had, like where this leap is. Well, it's not historic for the government to come in and buy up 10,000 acres and start brokering it off to the biggest corporation in the world and be damned to what the community thinks. That's not normal. So that's the stuff you got to fight. I mean, we've always had to have development. We've always had to have jobs, but there's a way to do it. And when they start to do it outside of it. So when we have this election coming up and it has this team of people on it that are pro this super economic development, which is just pave it all as fast as you possibly can, then, we really got to be on our game. So on the election here, I'm going to go over some of these races that I've decided to take a position on and that I've looked into enough to where I can talk about them. But I'm going to tell you, and that's going to be the theme that you're seeing. So as I've went through these things, I've kind of found out that there's, little click in between a lot of these candidates, and they're kind of working together. And then when you see where some of these candidates have been, it really stands out to you. It's really something we got to avoid. So let's get into it. So, and now this one kind of hurt because I know that on the shop page there was some very big Haggard fans, and I was aligned with them. Haggard, if you look into his background, everything seemed good. But then we found out that Haggard had Swank fundraiser thrown for him by one of the IEDC three kings, the Chad Pittman. Now let's go over that real quick because it's going to be important to the story. So Chad Pittman is one of the IEDC three kings, which is a group of these three people that within the IEDC that fed millions and millions of dollars back to their own companies and their own interests through no big contracts and all of this stuff. So when all of these big deals were being handed out, they were funneling that money back to themselves. And if you look at the IEDC as a whole, we've spent Indiana like $1 billion last year on the IEDC. It's just an insane amount of money, and these were all people who are inside. So we have one of the top IEDC three kings that have funneled, just help fleece Indiana and our taxpayers for millions of dollars, throwing Haggard a Swank fundraiser. And guess who was throwing this Swank fundraiser with the three king? Plunkett, the Jason Plunkett that's running for our county commissioner. So we have Jason Plunkett, Paul Kite, and Chad Pittman of the IEDC throwing Swank like $7,000 platinum level donation, Swank fundraiser for Craig Haggard. So I gotta say, to me right there, that Haggard is all in on this. And then it came out later that Haggard was also being funded by data center dollars. So they had somebody put out that there may even have been a PAC that wasn't properly reporting, and I haven't gotten to the bottom of that on whether the reporting was all done right. But he is definitely getting in on this data center dollar. So when we have a three-way race, now Baird's connected to the Gentrys, and he's been in on all this other stuff too. He's nobody I'm voting for either. So you have Baird, Haggard, and John Piper. Now, John Piper is the no-name candidate that is an outlier, but when the other two guys are absolutely acceptable, I'm taking John Piper in that race because he's not coming out here and supporting the stuff that's harming our communities and fleecing our taxpayers. That's who I'm going to vote for. I'm not going to give my vote to somebody who's definitely going to punch me in the face. That's ignorant, and I'm not getting into it. So for the race for the Indiana 4th Congressional District, I have John Piper over the top of Baird and Haggard. Now, when I say over the top, that's not saying he's going to win. I mean, that's up to the voters who get out there and how well they've informed themselves. I'm just saying that's who I'm taking in the race. So then we're going to move on to the clerk race here in Boone County. And we have that between Bruder and Martinez. Now, Lisa Bruder, we put out that video of her little quib about how she don't work for We the People. And basically what it boils down to is Lisa Bruder has an animosity towards these constitutionalists who have been coming in and asking for paper ballots and stuff like that, which is, it is the most secure voting method in the world. So we're going to get that out too. But so there's an animosity between Lisa Bruder and these constitutionalist people that have requested these things and have pushed for paper ballots within the community. Because I've seen years back when it was Charles Bookwalter politely reading in this stuff, and she's came out very hard against him and that thing. I posted all that stuff up. I posted the video so y'all could see it. But so what I'm seeing is I'm seeing somebody who's ingrained in this position. She has an animosity towards Constitution. I don't care. The county clerk shouldn't have an animosity towards any of the constituents. And I personally am not offended by the constitutionalists. Oh my God, they want to back up your rights and maybe you get paper ballots. The efforts that they have kind of went through to paint these people as crazies it's not well deserved, because trust me, the people that are pushing for that constitutional stuff, they're not your enemy. And we've talked about in the other things. And for the kind of these insider click candidates to try to demonize that, I don't like. So with Lisa Bruder, you had, this animosity towards the constitutionalists, those people that she just like the We the People type. And she obviously has an animosity towards the paper ballots, which I'm going to tell you guys, when we're getting into a world of AI hacking, guys, computer voting is not long for this world. So having somebody that has an animosity towards the safest voting system in the world in a time where our computers are going to be becoming more and more vulnerable as these AI systems are able to hack things. Like I said I think I said in one of the last episodes, they said that, it would not be a year or two that AI might be able to crack Bitcoin code and some of these really big foundational things in the computer world. So to think that it's going to get to the point where it can manipulate elections pretty quick would be a very reasonable thought. So given that Lisa Bruder has these animosities towards constituents and towards the most secure voting, I'm going to go with Yvonne Martinez in that race, because I've seen Martinez get out in front of, and see, this is the other thing. And I've had this conversation with you guys before. It's not the best candidate generally isn't the one out there with the biggest signs, that's spending the most money, that's getting the most attention, going out on all these different platforms to share it. Usually the best candidate just really isn't that good at campaigning in the world of politics. It's really hard. So everybody's, and I kind of had a whole post about this on, I think, in the last week. But everybody's really going to have to rewire their brain from the high school voting method, where you vote for the most popular, with the most money, the one that promises the most stuff, things that are never going to happen. And that's what everybody's mind. And it's so hard. And that's kind of why I'm trying to put out this stuff. Why I put out, my picks. I put them up there on the shop page because everybody has the same problem. We're busy in our own lives. We go to vote because we're trying to do everything right. You get into the voting booth and you're looking at these names and you have no idea where they stand on any of these issues. And it makes it really hard. So you end up, people get to where they vote for the name they seen in the yard of the person they liked or something like that. It gets really, you're not voting on anything real. And that's what we got to change. And so in these elections, I'm taking these candidates or whatever, and I'm fully understanding that the odd favorites are on these click candidates because that's how people have been doing things. It will take a tsunami of an upstorm of all the people that are tired of getting the short end of the stick to actually get out there and vote out these click candidates and vote in some new blood and vote in some people that are more worried about you than them. So that's where I was getting at on like this Martinez. Yvonne Martinez, I've seen her out there at our wind and solar event talking, speaking out for the county. She goes up there to the state house to speak. I posted a video this last weekend of where she was out there speaking to get some tweaks to the Indiana red flag laws so that it helped protect citizens' rights. So, I mean, this is somebody who's out there on their own time and their own dime doing something for the community anyway without being paid to the events. And there they are. So this is somebody that I think deserves the chance. And especially when their opponents are coming out there saying they're not on your team. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So, okay. So I'm taking Martinez over Bruder in the clerk race. And then when we get to the assessor, now we have Jennifer Lasley, who's been in the position, and we talked about that because there's been a lot of controversy there with the assessor over this last year. And I think it's a hot mess over there. And you got, but her opponent is Papa Bathini. Now, these candidates haven't been getting out there, so nobody really knows who the other candidate is. And everybody sees the Lasley sign. She's likely to win, but I'm taking Papa Bathini over Lasley because what have we seen? Now, Lasley's on the same team with Bruder, and she's on the same team with Plunkett, and they're on the same team with Melton, which is all this pro-development clique. And, when they're all team working together, that automatically is a big red flag to me. But so, what have we seen out of the assessor's office this year? We've seen Beyer and Pell trying to find a way to save the taxpayers some money there. And we got caught with a hardcore resistance by Jennifer Lasley. And then it's turned into a hot mess, which I still believe is going to end up costing the county a bunch of legal money because the way they did all that process in the deciding who they were going to hire to help her and the guts thing, that's a hot mess. And that was done outside of the legal way that it should be done. And I believe the county is going to end up paying some money out to somebody on that deal and a whole bunch of legal. So that's still a hot mess that's out there. That's still something that isn't done, that isn't resolved, that's going to be coming back to bite us. And all because there was a resistance in the office to anything, any amount of change. I mean, we got another bid that was for a whole bunch of money cheaper, but she pushed and pushed and pushed until mess of legal, and it's costing us a bunch more money. So I am taking the other horse in that race for sure. So for Boone County Assessor, I have Papa Bathini as my choice. Now, going on, I'm going to go to Boone County Commissioner. Now we have Tim Beyer, who's the incumbent, and we have Jason Plunkett, who I just said. Jason Plunkett hosting swank fundraisers with the IEDC king, Chad Pittman, who's fleeced these taxpayers for millions and millions of dollars. So, guys, this is a friend group that I'm not all right with. So Jason Plunkett, and like I said, Jason Plunkett is even Lisa Bruder's cousin, and they're on team with Lasley, and Melton is in, fully supporting Plunkett. So these people are all connecting around. But in this race between Tim Beyer, so I posted this last weekend about where Bayer and Pell came together to cancel the Fuel Island contract up there at the jail. And, Bayer had posted about it, and it showed, how much money they saved. And I remember at that time I crunched the numbers myself, and I think they were extremely low on the maintenance costs and stuff over the course of, 20 years or whatever. I think there was a lot more savings there than even what they admitted. So that was good on them. And that's the mentality that we need in this stuff. So I've seen Bayer, and like I said, Bayer and Pell voted against the R.L. Turner development, which was a spot rezoning right in the middle of housing out here in the country, and I appreciated that. So while Bayer did vote for the rezone at 47 and 65, like I have spoke before, I kind of give that part a pass because it was right along the interstate, and that's how we've always done things. So that was no surprise to me, really. So in that race, I am taking Tim Bayer over the top of the IEDC connected Jason Plunkett, because the IEDC has done nothing but trash our community and come in here and run ramshod over people that have lived here for generations. And that isn't the type of people that I want in the office above me. So, Boone County Commissioner, I'm taking Tim Bayer. Now, for Boone County Council District 2, I'm taking John Hume over Smith. And I say that, and I'm just going to kind of quick glance over this one. I've seen Hume out there posting for a long time. He's generally on the right side of things. He's been a long-time community member. He's somebody that I think will do a good job in the position, even though we don't always agree on things. There's no reason anybody has to. We can all disagree and have our own views as long as we can stay civil. So I'm taking Hume in that race over Smith. Smith used to be a Guts employee, so once the county split off this Guts contract, which there's some more stuff on all that. Like, this Guts company is still getting a sweetheart deal on it. For anybody that don't know, they rent the top floor of the Boone County, the Key Bank building over there, and they get it for the price of what people pay for a 1-2 bedroom apartment there in town. So these people are getting a whole floor of a commercial building because of this insider dealing. And that's the whole thing. And the reason why I supported Bayer and Pell trying to shop them out on the assessor deal was because they had been 18 years with no, they had not been bid out. They haven't been being shopped out. They're getting this sweetheart deal. And those sort of relationships need broke up, because that leads to just when they're not having to pay out of their own pocket, then they just continue to all, butter each other's bread with more taxpayer funds. So that stuff needs broke up. But anyway, so I'm taking Hume over the ex-Guts employee Smith. Now, for the Boone County Council, in the Williams-Melton race, I am taking Aaron Williams over Craig Melton. Now, I'm going to admit that when I've watched these council meetings, I've liked Williams' line of talking on a lot of fiscal issues and a lot of the questions that he's like. Now, I did post about, full disclosure, I seen a post where he was, praising the meta development. So he's not against all that stuff. But as far as being on the council on the fiscal issues, he's been solid. And while I don't like his, the fanning over this data center stuff, I'm going to take him over Craig Melton, because Craig Melton is admittedly pro-economic development and a supporter of Plunkett, who is IEDC connected. So when I'm telling you that I'm taking Williams over Melton, do I like everything about that Aaron Williams supports? No. Has he done things? And, of all these that I'm listing, he's one that I'm having to add this caveat to. But when Craig Melton comes out and says he's, pro-economic development and he's supporting Plunkett and all this, these are just positions that I can't handle, because I've already got it in my head what I'm seeing. And when I'm seeing these team races, and then you go out there and you see all their signs are in people's yards together. They're running this as a team, and they're running it on name recognition, and it's a good plan. I'm not saying it's not a good plan. I mean, from the political sense of it, they're putting a lot of visibility out there, which is good. And what do I always say? But generally, your best candidates, the candidates that are going to be the best for the people, are not generally good about doing the whole politics things right. I mean, it's hard. They don't want to get out there. Nobody generally wants to get out there and have to take the lumps that you take in public. And especially when you go against these insider cliques, the hate comes on strong. I mean, the hate comes from me fast. So when I touch on one of these, and I try to be a fair player, I just told you I will be supporting Williams in the council race over Melton. But at the same time, I've already told you that Williams had the support for the data center stuff, which I don't like at all. So I posted both sides of it. I mean, I'm not pulling punches for anybody, but these insiders, these click candidates, when you post this stuff up, when you share information about the person they like, all of a sudden I'm the worst thing in the world. Now I'm clickbait bud, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm the worst person in the world because I've went against their candidate. But sorry, that's just the way it is. I posted every side of the information I got. Let people decide. That's not on me. So for the Boone County Council, for the race between Williams, Melton, and there's actually an Arnold in there too, but I couldn't even find anything on him to try to search him up. He's that far removed from it. Your choices are Williams, Melton, or throwing the vote to the Arnold, who I have no idea who that is. So now we're going to move on to Center Township Trustee. Now I'm tracking this one because it has one of Matt Gentry's, loyalists, Tanya Thayer. She's right there, sits beside Matt in all of these meetings. She is the City of Lebanon's clerk treasurer, and you can tell by her facial expressions when people are up there trying to talk and make their case that she has that same disdain for a lot of the people that Matt Gentry and some of them others do. So, that's just the vibe that I get from it. And I've sat there and watched her be silent as Matt has, railed against women and been very derogatory towards other people, and without a peep to sit there. So I can't have anything to do with people that can just sit idly by and watch that happen. Like, as Lebanon residents keep getting pushed into these situations where now they're going to be getting this citizens water that could have all these extra chemicals and stuff in it. I can't deal with the people that just sit idly by on that. So to me, Thayer is completely out on anything. And on top of that, Casey Sampson, who is the current Center Township trustee, has shown himself time and time again to be an upstanding guy. I know that when we were going through, we had all the, over there in the LEAP development, they let all them noxious weeds go to seed so that it was spreading all over the county. And it was actually Casey is the one who jumped out there and sent stuff in, being the township trustee, and really got that pushed along. So, I mean, good on Casey for being there when the community asked for his help on something. That he has the support of the Center Township Fire Department. And here's another thing, and we got to go over this too. This is something that I've noticed on a lot of these different, candidates. We have sector, public safety unions coming out and endorsing these pro-growth candidates. So, we had on this Center Township race, we had, one of the local Boone County firefighter unions, Lebanon firefighter unions coming out, pushing for Thayer, saying, she has done and proven herself. And how? What? She has none of this. Casey Sampson was actually a firefighter and all this, and you're going to come out and say Thayer has it. The only thing Thayer has done is she is on Team Gentry. She's a Gentry loyalist, and Gentry has tried multiple times to take over Center Township Fire Department. Multiple times. He's tried to install candidates. He's doing this stuff. And this was a very deceptive thing. So Center Township Fire Department isn't a part of this union that endorsed her. But that union, and that's what I'm noticing. So why are all these public sector people and public sector unions coming out for Haggard, all this pro-growth? It's pro-growth, pro-growth, pro-growth. Why is this same fire department union that's pushing for Thayer's coming out in support of Plunkett? Same thing, pro-growth, pro-growth. And when you get right down to it, guys, what's happening? Every last one of these unions, these different people involved in this stuff, they're dancing for these development dollars is what they are. They are willing to go out there and sell off whatever they got to sell off because they want to get in on this money. Is this what's good for the community? Is bringing this stuff in? And, like we've talked about Lebanon, now they're going to be subject to the pollution from all these generators coming out of the meta site. the 90 decibel noise from them. They got the water going to be contaminated. There's an audible humming. There's all this stuff that's going to be happening, and that's not good for the community. But these public sector safety unions are, they're coming out there. They're endorsing these candidates because they're pro-growth. They want to add their number. They want to grow. They want to get into more of this dollar. They want into this money that Meta and Lilly and all them are throwing around to butter everybody's bread, to buy a little community support within, the government bodies and the clubs that be. So that's what's going on. These unions, it's not that candidate's going to do, it's not that they're going to do anything for the people. They want you, the people, to go out there and put a vote in that's going to help them make more money. And that's just all there is to it. And so when you're seeing all these people and you're watching who everybody's endorsing and you're watching who these people want to be in office, they all want these pro-development, pave over Boone County. And if that's what your beliefs are, so be it. Go vote for them. I think a lot of people will anyway, just because they're not paying close enough of attention. I know as much information as I put out, much as I share and everything all the time, I still hear people say that, they didn't know that. This is the first they've heard of it. And that's just how that goes. And that's like over there in the Sugar Creek. This is going to be the last race I'm going to cover here, is the Sugar Creek Township over there. We have a 4-way race between Bookwalter, Davis, Fisher, and Lawson. Now, right now, Fisher is Lawson's daughter. These are, this is Donnie Lawson, Boone County Commissioner. This is his wife and his daughter running in that race. And they are pro-development. They own a lot of land right there out around the Thorntown area and out towards that 47 and 65 interchange. They want a bunch of development. I've got screenshots of them saying that, they want to sell some land at this industrial pricing, to help with their personal finances. That's something they're in. So when you're voting on that, that's why I got Bookwalter. Bookwalter, a constitutionalist. He's an ex-Green Beret. He's a very smart individual. I've met him. I've talked to him. And I say that he is going to be actually working for the people there instead of that little team that's going to be working for themselves. And people out there in Thorntown, they better watch their six, because these people that own land and have interest in that area are going to push hard to get them to develop, because they want that money. They want to sell off their land for that. They want to rezone it all. So that's something that's on everybody's board there. And if you want to stop all of these things from being the eventual reality of our county, you are going to have to get out there and vote Tuesday, May 5th. And you're going to have to vote against the clique. You guys are going to have to get out there and do it. I mean, I try to share the information with you guys that I find make us all better educated voters. But ultimately, voter engagement, voter turnout, because these clique candidates understand they have a network of people. These are people they do business with, people that are also going to be in on the money trickle down for doing these things. They're going to get out and vote, guys. They're going to get out there and they're going to vote because they want in on these deals. And then this is going to butter their bread now. And if you guys don't want to let them run the show, then there's only one way you're going to stop it. And that's for you guys to get out there, cut the clicks, guys. It's not the biggest name. It's not the person with the biggest sign. Look for who these people are connected to. Look for who's actually going to work for the people, and look who's going to be out there serving themselves. And guys, my faith in you. I've seen it when you guys get out and you turn out and you make a stand. You guys can change all of these things. You guys can sway these elections. You guys can get the job done. We have the numbers, but we have to quit being so complacent. And you got to get to the mindset that we cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, because we all know that's the definition of insanity. And, if you don't want to keep looking at it, you're going to have to be the one to change it. So have a great rest of your weekend. See you next week.